Okay, all right, guys. Today we are going to start our session, and today's session is dedicated to one of the most important topics, one of the most important chapters of your syllabus, which is the PGBP, Profits and Gains from Business and Profession. So let me first of all tell you that most of the students feel that sir, PGBP is such a lengthy chapter that it is very difficult to retain all the sections of this particular chapter. So now guys, the moot point over here is you have to work a little smartly in PGBP. It is definitely impossible to learn all the sections of PGBP. It is definitely impossible that you learn everything from PGBP. So you just have to cull out all the important sections from PGBP, which means that you have to see what sections have been repeatedly asked in the examination, in the past examination, and those sections are to be done by you rather than doing every question from this particular chapter. Shubham, please do not share your screen. So I'll share the PGBP topic with you. So yes, first of all, a clear message to all of you. So some students tell me that, sir, we are leaving PGBP, we are not doing PGBP. No, that is not the correct option. You should not do PGBP. You should not leave PGBP. That is not the right way to do, because PGBP is a chapter from which mandatory question will come, and if mandatory question will come, you cannot afford to leave PGBP. PGBP is one such chapter which you should not leave. For sure, you should not leave. So do not even think about leaving PGBP. You cannot leave PGBP chapter, but yes, you can curtail its revision. You can restrict its revision to the essential sections, to the important sections. Okay, so let me start the chapter now, and from this KPTR we'll be revising the entire chapter, and yes, I'll be skipping certain unimportant sections from between so that we are able to complete the entire chapter on time. Now, one very important aspect about this chapter, about this particular head of income, is that this head of income is taxable on a net basis. What do you mean by net basis? So guys, in case of salary, you get a deduction of only those expenses which are specified in the act. In case of house property, you get deduction from only those expenses which are specified in the act. For capital gain, you get a deduction only for the expenditure which are specified in the act. However, this is one such head in which expenditure of any nature and every nature which is related to your business, that can be claimed as an expenditure. So your hand should be on the keyboard, because I'll be asking you certain questions in between and you have to answer those questions. So I am telling you that PGBP has two kinds of expenditure. One kind of expenditure are specific expenditure which are stated in certain sections, and second kind of expenditure are general expenditure, which means general deduction which are there in this particular chapter. My question is, which section is general deduction section in PGBP? Your answer should be in the chat box. General deduction. Dikshit is wrong. No, it's not 28. Yes, Tejashri, okay. Divyam, Muhammad Ali, wrong. Shrishti, Harshit, Abhinay, perfect. Chavi, great. Muhammad Ali, good. Who else? Mihir, 37, perfect. Chandramohan, wrong. Sahastra, 37, perfect. Soumya, Gundeti, perfect. Perfect. Anyone else? Chandramohan, yes. Perfect. Yash, 37, perfect. Yes, Dikshit, I think you need to revise PGBP chapter once again. Harshit, 37, okay, good. Yes, so guys, the general deductions are given in section 36, and the specific deductions are given under section 36, and the generic deductions, which means any other deduction which is related to business, is given under section 37. So the income tax department will always try to restrict your deductions, will always try to curtail your deductions, and you will always try to increase your deductions, because deductions would mean reduction in profit, and reduction in profit means reduction in taxation. So deductions and expenditure is one of the main thing which we are going to discuss in this particular chapter. So this chapter is all about two things. Number one, allowable deductions. Number two, disallowable deductions. Deductions which are not allowable, and number 1 deductions which are allowable. This section, this particular chapter focuses on these two things primarily. So before starting the chapter, just give me 2 minutes. My laptop is out of battery. I'll just put in my battery. Okay, so let's start the chapter PGBP. Alright, first of all, section 28, which talks about income which is chargeable to tax. Now, income which is chargeable to tax, the section provides for certain income which have been clearly mentioned in the section. Those income are profits and gains of business or profession. Now, the most important thing is, even if it's an illegal business, even if you are doing an illegal business, then also your income will be chargeable to tax, even if you are doing illegal business or legal business or
Excuse me,
speculative
sir.
business. Yes,
Sir, someone is trying to join the class.
someone is
Join
trying
him.
to join the class. Ritesh, is he or she someone very special and very close to your heart?
No, sir.
No, then why this special request?
Sir, she has left the class and
She has
want to
left
join
the
again.
Oh,
Social welfare.
just ask her to send a request again. On your special request, I will definitely make her join the class.
Okay, sir.
So is it that if she doesn't join, then you will also leave?
Nothing like that, sir.
Okay, okay. I have not received any joining request as of now. Soon as I will receive, I will join her. All right. So income chargeable to tax. It can be business or profession. It can be legal or illegal. Even if a question specifies illegal income, you have to add it to your income. Then profit on sale on import license, duty entitlement, passbook. Now this is very, very important, guys. In case of export, people who are doing export, if they import certain commodity and they export, they do some manufacturing and export that commodity, then Government of India gives them benefit of refund of the import duty which they have paid, the custom duty which they have paid. This refund is a very important element of income of a particular business. Therefore, this particular refund which is eligible to be claimed by any SSC is chargeable as PGBP. So any export benefit, forget about not only import license or entitlement passbook, but any export benefit, any benefit that is related to export, because Government of India promotes export a lot, any benefit is chargeable to tax as PGBP. Third is cash assistance received under scheme of Government of India. So if any cash assistance is received, what is cash assistance? Cash assistance is actually in the nature of subsidy or in the nature of grant which is granted by Government of India for encouraging certain trade. If any cash assistance is received, it is taxable as PGBP. Now this is very, very important, non-compete fees. When two people are competing with each other and one person restricts the other person from competing with him, and in return he pays certain amount of money, then that is known as non-compete fees. Now, what do people argue? People argue that non-compete fees is paid not for carrying on business but for breaking business or stopping business. So it should not be eligible to be chargeable to tax under PGBP. But no, section makes it absolutely clear that even if non-compete fee is for breaking business, breaking as in stopping the business, pausing your business, even if non-compete fee is for pausing your business, is for halting your business, even then it is chargeable to tax as PGBP. So that is a specific inclusion in the section. Now the fair market value of inventory as on the date when it is converted into or treated as capital gain. Now if you are dealing into an inventory, if you are in business of some inventory and subsequently you close your business and convert that inventory into your asset. For example, if you are furniture dealer and while you are a furniture dealer, you are dealing with furnitures, but then you stop your business of furniture and you start some other business, and some of the furniture you convert it into your asset, then fair market value of that inventory is also taxable as PGBP. That will be termed as your business income. Next is section 30. Section 30 deals with three primary kinds of expenditure, which is rent, rates and taxes, repair, maintenance and insurance for building. Now guys, let me be very, very clear, okay? we need not remember each and every section and each and every part of the section. We need not remember each one of them. The general principle, broad principle is that all those expenditures which are related to business, which are wholly and exclusively related to business, those expenditure are allowed as a deduction. So be it rent, be it rates and taxes, be it repairs and maintenance for building, for anything which you are doing in your business, anything which you are employing in your business, that will be that will be allowed as a deduction. So we need not remember that section 30 relates to rent, rates, taxes, repair, maintenance, insurance. You just need to remember anything related to business is allowed as a deduction to the business. Now my question to you is, and your hands on the keyboard, all of you should write your answer in the keyboard. I'll give you an example, and in the example you have to tell me whether it is repair and maintenance expenditure or not. You have to write yes or no. I will give you a question and you have to say yes or no whether the expenditure is repairs and maintenance or not. Now, a plant and machinery worth 1 crore was purchased by a particular person. That plant and machinery had to be repaired in after 1 year. The repair cost was for a 1 crore machinery, the repair cost was 50 lakh rupees. Now you have to tell whether it is repair, whether it is current repair or not, yes or no. Whether it is current repair or not, yes or no. Everyone is saying a yes. Avish says a no. Mihir says a yes. Kirthana says a no. Okay, you have 3 options, guys. 3 options. Yes, no, can't say. You have 3 options. So you can choose any one of the 3 options. 1 crore machinery, repair done worth rupees 50 lakhs, whether it is allowed as a current repair or not. Yes, no, can't say. Okay, Rahul says no, Ishita says yes, Utkarsh says yes, Abhinay says yes, Shubham Yadav says yes, Utkarsh says yes, Chavi says yes, Keshav says no, Sanjana says no, Dikshit says no, Akash says no, Abhishek Agarwal says no, Divyam says no, Himanshu says no. Okay. My question number 2, I will give you answer afterwards. My question number 2, please listen to question number 2. For that 1 crore machinery, after 2 years, we had done some repair worth rupees 50,000, not 50 lakhs, 50,000. Whether it is current repair allowable as deduction or not. Yes, no, can't say. Abhinay says yes, Keshav says yes, Abhinav yes, Karanpreet yes, Harshpreet yes, Asif yes, Sahasra yes, Yash yes, Himanshu yes, Kirthana yes, Shubham no, Tejashri yes, Abhinay yes, Shrishti yes, Mihir yes, Abhinay yes, Rafia yes, Supriya yes, Chandra Mohan yes, Krishna no, Dikshit yes, Muhammad Ali yes, Utkarsh yes, Sumit Ghosh no, Rahul Mehrotra yes, Prabha yes, Monisha yes, Ritesh Rathore, Abhinay, Divyam Khanna, Anisha yes, Avisha yes, Alakmar yes, Akash yes. Everyone is saying yes. Most of you are saying yes. Only few students are saying no. Now let me give you why capital expense. Mihir is saying yes, capital expense. Okay. Now I'll give you the answer of both the questions, guys. The answer to both the questions is can't say. It is neither a yes nor a no. Why? Why is it can't say? Guys, I have not given you the required information through which you can judge whether this expenditure is current repair or not. Please understand this minute point of difference between current repair and capital repair. It doesn't matter what is the amount of repair. I have misguided you by telling you the amount of repair. It does not matter what is the amount of repair. I had specifically in my videos highlighted this fact. Amount is irrelevant. Amount is irrelevant. Whether it is a 50 lakh rupees repair, whether it is a 50,000 rupees repair, it can be a capital repair and a revenue repair. It doesn't matter amount. You are confused by the amount. What matters is, yes, what Muhammad Ali has absolutely correctly pointed out in the chat box. What matters is that whether that repair has brought any advantage to the machinery, has brought any additional benefit to the machinery. If that repair has brought any additional advantage to the machinery, for example, if the repair has increased the useful life of the machinery, if the repair has increased the capacity of the machinery, if the repair maintenance has given any advantage of any kind in the machinery, then you will say that it is a capital repair. If there is no advantage, if there is no increase in benefit, then even if the repair is 50 lakh rupees repair, you will say it is a current repair. So where no advantage is there, then it is current repair. If advantage is there, then it is capital repair. So now the amount is absolutely irrelevant. Please read the last line of this particular section, which is very, very important. This is the line which is very, very important, that if current repair are incurred to preserve and maintain an existing asset and it does not result in any fresh or new advantage. So wherever fresh advantage is there, then you will say that it is capital repair. If fresh advantage is not there, then it is current repair. Alright, section 31, repairs and maintenance of machinery, plant and furniture used for purpose of business and profession. Again, only current repairs are allowed. Depreciation, one of the most important topics of this particular chapter, and a very, very important topic from an exam standpoint, because questions from this particular topic are bound to come in the examination, guys. Now, the most important concept of this particular topic is put to use. The depreciation is allowed since the date when it is put to use. I'll give you an example. Whenever you install a particular machinery and that machinery is absolutely ready to use, you can just press a button and that machinery will be utilized, that machinery will be started. But no, you cannot claim depreciation when that machinery is ready to use. You have to claim that depreciation only when it actually starts functioning, only when it actually starts to use. So the day when you will use that machinery, since that date you will claim depreciation on that particular machinery. Now, one very important point in depreciation is that if you use the machinery for more than, or machinery or any asset for more than 180 days in a year, then it should be treated as your complete depreciation should be applicable on it. And if it is to be used for less than 180 days, then you will say that half of the depreciation will be employed on it. Now, my question to you, your hands on the keyboard, and my question to you is, what is the date, what is the cutoff date beyond which the machinery will be used, if it is used, put to use on that date, beyond which it will be more than 180 days put to use? What is the cutoff date? And I am not talking about a leap year. I am not talking about a leap year. I am talking about a non-leap year, because your assessment is a year is a non-leap year. Therefore, I am talking about the non-leap year. What is the cutoff date beyond which if I put to use my machinery, then it will be claimed as less than 180 days of put to use? What is the cutoff date? What is the cutoff date if we calculate? So, 3 students have answered. No other students have answered. Students are Sumit. Okay, Sumit has also answered. Chavi Pandey, Harshit, very good, very good. Shubham Yadav, yes. Harshit, very good. Chavi Pandey, before 4th October, that is the correct answer, yes. Ritesh, 4th October. 3rd, yes. Okay, 5th October, Ritesh says 5th, Prabha says 5th, okay. Okay guys, yes, I think, you are just confusing in the, on the context of exact date. So, after 3rd October, which means 4th or onwards date. Please remember, 4th or onwards date, which means after 3rd October. 3rd October is not included. After 3rd October, 4th and onwards date, if your put to use date is there, then it will be less than 180 days. If it is before 4th October, that is 3rd included and beyond and below 3rd, then it will be more than 180 days. So you have to remember this date. However, let me tell you one very important thing, guys. Even if you don't remember this date, don't worry. Examination question will never come close to this margin date. It will always be very clear cut. The CMA intermediate examination pattern has been so that it always gives dates of either November or July. So it will be very, very clear, okay? So don't worry about this particular date. Even if you forget in the examination, this close margin will not be never be asked in the examination. So it's a very, very important aspect. All right. So my next question to you is, before I show you the depreciation charge, my question to you, because now guys, this is not a session where I'm teaching you. This is a marathon kind of a session. So I will also be expecting some answers from you. My question: how many blocks of assets are there as per the depreciation schedule of the Income Tax Act? Mohammed says 4, Rafia says 4, Krishna says 4, Shastra says 4, Sumit says 4, Supriya says 4, Abhishek says 4, Divyam says 4, Tejashri 4, Harshit 4, Yash 4, Anisha 4, Shubham 4, Prabha 4, Shrishti 4, Ishita 4, Jyoti 4, Soumya 4, Tanisha 4, Asif 5, Dikshit 4, Neha 4, Jangam 4. So Dikshit, since everyone is saying 4, you are also saying 4. Dikshit, can you tell me what are the 4 blocks of assets which are there as per the Income Tax Act? Please tell me. Or is it that everyone is saying 4, that's why you are saying 4? Okay guys, you are absolutely right. There are 4 blocks of assets which are there as per the Income Tax Act. The 4 blocks of assets are building, furniture, plant and machinery and intangible assets. Now of course you have to remember the depreciation rates of each of these blocks. The depreciation rates are different for each of the blocks, so you have to remember the depreciation rates. Especially if I especially highlight residential, non-residential building is 10%. This is very important. Furniture 10% constant rate, so this you should remember. Then plant and machinery, the residuary category is very important, which is 15%, because generally question is asked from the residuary category, which is 15%. Then computer and books owned by professionals, this is 40%. This is an important category. So yes, these categories at least, and 25% of intangible assets, this is also an important category. So yes, this category should be on your tips guys. I mean, no compromise from these categories. Coming on to additional depreciation. All right. Now before I show you the section, please tell me what is the rate of additional depreciation. What is the rate of additional depreciation applicable? Dikshit says 20, Mihir says 20, Shita says 20, Utkarsh says 20, Yash says 20, Tejashri says 20, Chavi says 20, Sumit says 20, Rafia says 10. Oh, where does 10 come from? Krishna says 20, 20, 20, Keshav says 20, Asif says 20, Rahul says 20, Monisha says 20, Sanjana, amazing Sanjana, brilliant. Utkarsh, brilliant Utkarsh, very good. Neha, very good. Harshit, very good. 35, perfect. Mihir, good. Karanpreet, good. So guys,
Sir,
please
35.
remember.
Sir,
Yes, Soumya, tell me.
35
35 for backward state, like West Bengal, Telangana, Bihar.
No.
Madhya Pradesh, sir.
The correct
But sir,
answer
वो तो change हो गया
is
ना।
35%. 35% is the rate of depreciation which is there in the backward states.
वो तो सर
35% is there in the backward states. Acha. Now remember one thing guys, just remember one thing, okay? All the students who have said 20%, 20% is the correct answer. I was just trying to find out those students who are saying 35%. Those who are saying 35% are absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. There is a big confusion in this assessment here. Please let me clarify your confusion, guys. Please don't have this confusion. No, 35% is not there. 35%. No, not in total, Harshit. Wrong. Not in total. Now don't now play with the sections. Guys, please listen to me carefully. 35% depreciation has been scrapped off in the last year. Has been scrapped off. अब वो नहीं है 35%. 35% को भूल जाओ. बैकवर्ड एरिया वाला जो डेप्रिसिएशन का रेट है उसको भूल जाओ. डेप्रिसिएशन रेट 35% नहीं है. वो सिर्फ बुक्स में इसलिए डाला गया है ताकि आपको सिर्फ एक नॉलेज हो कि बैकवर्ड एरियाज में लास्ट ईयर तक 35% का डेप्रिसिएशन रेट है. तो जो मशीनरी की कैपिटलाइजेशन, whatever capitalization happens in the earlier year, which means till 31st March 2020, that capitalization will be eligible for a 35% depreciation rate. So, in your examination in the current year, in the current term of examination, the question will always ask you the capitalization which will happen from 1st April 2020 till 31st March 2021. And the additional depreciation rate which is applicable during this period is only and only 20%. I just know there is no backward area concept, Mihir. Now there is no backward concept area. That area, that concept is scrapped off now. Yes, Dikshit.
सर अगर अपन ने लास्ट ईयर अगर आधे साल का एडिशनल डेप्रिसिएशन
Agreed, Dikshit. Agreed, absolutely. But Dikshit, in your examination, there is a remote chance that a question will be made where last year's capitalization will be given to you in the examination, and current year additional depreciation will be asked. I agree with your point. Yes, absolutely agreed with your point. Last year depreciation will be taken as 50%, current year's 50%, 35% applicable.
Sir?
But this is a remote possibility. Yes, tell me.
Sir, if in our exam in October 21,
Yes.
if a question come Andhra Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal, and Telangana. So what rate? 20%.
No.
We should apply.
Yes, absolutely, Ali. So, Ali, you have to see the
Okay, sir.
you have to see the capitalization. If capitalization is happening after 1st April 2020, then now the rate is 20%. Whether it's backward areas or whether it is non-backward areas.
Sir,
Everything is 20%. So you have to remember only 20%. Don't get confused. 35%
And sir,
you have to
in
forget.
capitalization before 1 April 2020.
That will not
then
happen. Ali, that will not happen
Okay.
in your examination. That will not happen. Most likely that will not happen. Yes, Dikshit.
सर अगर क्वेश्चन में अगर रेट दी हुई हो कि
Yes.
प्लांट एंड मशीनरी पे 30% लगाना है
हाँ.
और एक्ट कुछ और कह रहा है तो किसकी बात माननी है, एक्ट
जो
की या
क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है, apply
ठीक.
that rate, but not additional depreciation. I'm talking about
नहीं,
original
नहीं, only
depreciation.
depreciation.
Yes, okay. Now let's move on to the next section. Next section is in case of amalgamation, demerger, succession, the depreciation is always apportioned between the two companies, amalgamating company and the amalgamated company. If two companies are merging together, or if there is a demerger, which means one company is split into two parts and there's another company which is being created, or third case, succession. Succession means when a proprietorship firm becomes a company, when a partnership firm becomes a company, or when a partnership firm becomes an LLP, then succession happens. So according to the number of days, the depreciation will be split between these two companies. So you have to calculate the number of days and you have to calculate when it is used, and you have to split the depreciation between these two companies. Now your hands on the keyboard, I will ask a question, you have to answer the question. Okay, question is, A company splits its plastic division to B company. I repeat, A company splits its plastic division to B company. Demerger, case of demerger. Now in the year of demerger, how should we split the depreciation? What is the defining criteria? Defining criteria with which we will split the depreciation amongst these two companies. Number of days. Perfect answer. Proportionate days. Perfect. Now listen to my next question. 365. What is 365? Ratio of number of days. Perfect. Now listen to my question number 2. Perfect answer. Number of days. Perfect answer. Perfect. Now listen to my second question. What will be the number of days in the denominator? This is the numerator which you are telling me. Number of days in the numerator. What will be the number of days in the denominator? 365. Okay, depending upon leap year, it can be 366 also. Okay, 365, 366, 365, 365, 366, 365. Everyone is saying, Jyoti, brilliant Jyoti. Total of A and B, if some break is business is there. The correct answer is number of days the assets are put to use. It should not be 365, guys. Question will always confuse you. It will never give you to split the depreciation for a plant and machinery or for an asset which has been there since beginning of the year. It will always give you to split the depreciation which will acquired in the middle of the year. Therefore, the denominator should be number of days in which the asset was put to use. Numerator will be number of days when the assets were put to use by the respective person. Next, very, very important section, coffee, tea, rubber plantation. Coffee, tea, rubber plantation. If you deposit a specified amount in the required bank account, subject to a maximum of 40% of profit of this particular head PGBP, you will be allowed a deduction. So this is the deduction which is available for tea coffee business. Plus, you have to remember these rules. These rules are very, very important. 8, 7B and 7A. 40% of income from business after reducing the deduction under 33AB. 25% of 40% of the income from business after reducing deduction from 33AB. 35% in case of rubber manufacturing after deducting deduction of 33AB. Now your hands on the keyboard and I am asking a very important question to you. Let us see who remembers this particular question. Okay, question is, what are the two activities which you have to carry out while growing and manufacturing coffee that will make you eligible for 40% deduction.
अरे यार
What are the activities? What are the activities? Tell me any activity which will make you eligible for 40% deduction. Any activity which will
Roasting,
help
roasting.
you. Please write it in the comment box. Growing? No, not growing. Not growing. Krishna, we are not talking about tea. What are you talking about? We are not talking about tea. We are talking about coffee. There are two activities which will make me eligible for 40%. Perfect. What is spelling of this? Curating. What is curating?
छोटा ना सा स्पेलिंग में क्या रखा है?
Roasting. Coffee fever. Coffee fever. What is coffee fever?
कौन है यार?
Roasted coffee.
रोस्टिंग एंड कटिंग नहीं क्लडिंग जो भी था.
Flavor. Roasted. No, growing is not there. Okay, perfect. So many of you are correct. So guys, these small things you have to remember. If you do not remember these small things, then question will play with you. If you want question to not to play with you, then you have to remember these things. Two activities are roasting and curing. Roasting and curing. If you do these two activities, then you will be eligible for additional deduction of 40%. So these are the additional activities which are eligible for additional deduction. Okay, I'm leaving the timeline. Timeline is very easy. Then site restoration fund, same deduction, which is coffee, rubber and tea deduction, same provision, only that now the profit will be restricted to 40% of PGBP. 20% of PGBP. So amount deposited in the approved bank or 20% of PGBP, whichever is minimum, will be eligible for your deduction. Now, one very important amendment which has come by in this particular Finance Act is, guys, you have to submit all the, now I'm not talking about only this section, but all the sections which are there in your PGBP chapter. Wherever you are required to submit the audited books of accounts, you have to submit them 1 month prior to the date of return of income. This is an amendment which has come by recently and you have to remember it. Okay, most important amendment, most important section, scientific research expenditure. Now your hands on the keyboard, I will ask you certain questions on the keyboard. Now please listen to the question carefully. Whether section 35 is eligible only for scientific research or for other research as well. So I'll rephrase my question. Whether Scientific Research Association is available for other research other than scientific research also, yes or no? Other than scientific research. No, in-house is okay. I'm not talking about in-house. Other research means social science research. Other research means research on some other thing except for science. Is it eligible or not? Garima says both, Jyoti says both, Divyam says animal husbandry. No, animal husbandry is not there. Mihir, yes. Rafia, no. Yash, yes. Kirthana, no. Tejashri, yes. Dikshit, no. Daniel, yes. Prabha, yes. Neha, other also. Supriya, yes. Mihir, yes. Very good, Mihir. Sumit, no. Harshit, yes. Chavi, yes. Keshav, very good, yes. Anisha, no. Soumya, yes. Abhishek, Soumya Saha, what is your answer? Soumya Saha is not participating today. I don't know what happened to Soumya Saha. Okay, guys, the correct answer is that expenditure which is related to scientific research, this section 35 is eligible for other research as well. There are other researches also which are given in the section, and those researches are also eligible to be deducted, like research for social sciences, any research for social sciences. And when you donate it to a particular institute, okay, now I'll bifurcate this into two parts. Guys, remember, I will bifurcate it into two parts. Part number one is when you yourself are conducting in-house research. When you are yourself conducting in-house research, then it will be focused to scientific research relating to your product only. You can take expenditure for your product only. Now my question to you is, when you are donating to some other organization, then you will be researching on only your product or other some other product also, like unrelated business, the business you are not related with. Will you be eligible to claim deduction for other business also? Chavi says other also, Yash says other also, Divyam says other also, Manisha says other also, Neha says no. No, I want the answer other also or no. Okay, Karanpreet says no. Tejashri says no. Other. Keshav says yes. Mihir says both. Very good, Mihir. Yash says unrelated also. Perfect answer, guys. Perfect answer. So please understand this point. If you are yourself doing research, then only your business. If you are donating to some other third party, then either your research or someone else's research, even if it's an unrelated business, even if that business is not related to you, then you are eligible for the deduction. But if you are yourself conducting research, then you can conduct research only on your business, not on any other business. And apart from scientific research, social sciences research is also eligible for donation purposes. Statistical research is also eligible for donation purposes. So research can be any research. Now, my next question, please answer the question. Expenditure on land, whether allowable as scientific research expenditure or not, yes or no? Utkarsh says no, Sanjana says no, Keshav says no, Dikshit says no, Divyam says no, Harshit says no, Shrishti says no. Perfect answer, perfect answer, perfect answer. Perfect answer. Good, good, good. Now my next question. Scientific research expenditure conducted prior to 3 years of commencement of business, whether allowable or not. Scientific research expenditure conducted 3 years prior even before 3 years, allowable or not. Utkarsh, you cannot say yes. Prior to 3 years, I mean even before 3 years, is it allowed or not? Even before 3 years. Diksha says yes, Shastra says yes, Chavi says yes, allowed. Sanjana, capital expenditure, never. Dikshit says no. Raj says yes. Supriya says yes. Divyam says allowed. Sumit says allowable. So guys, only last 3 years expenses is allowed. Only last 3 years expenses are allowed. Whether they are capital or revenue, only last 3 years expenses are allowed. Prior to 3 years, 4 years back, 5 years back, expenses are not allowed. Alright, so important section from an exam standpoint, because a question can come from this particular section for sure. Now, yes, another important section, amortization of telecom license. Amortization of telecom license. You have to tell me whether I am saying a yes. You have to tell me yes or no. Answer should be yes or no. Amortization of telecom license will be eligible. Please listen to the question carefully. Amortization license will be eligible. Amortization of license will be eligible when you incur the expense even if you have not paid it. Yes or no? Asif says yes, Sanjana says no, Utkarsh says no, Ishita says no, Neha says no, Diksha says yes, Yash says no, Shubham no, Muhammad Ali yes, Sumit yes, Prabha yes, Sahasra no, Divyam no, Karanpreet incur. No, Karanpreet, the answer is yes or no. Muhammad Ali says no. Muhammad Ali says yes. Okay. Krishna says no. Tanisha says no. Dikshit says pata. Dikshit, what is this? Kirtana says yes. Daniel yes. Diksha no. Karanpreet yes. Harshit yes. Okay, I didn't get it. I'll repeat the question once more. And those who have already answers, they need not give the answer again. Amortization of telecom expenditure, amortization of telecom license expenditure is allowed when it is incurred, even if it is not paid. Yes or no? Answer is no. It is only paid, it is only allowed when it is incurred and paid. I'll give you an example, okay? I'll give you an example. Please listen to the example and it will be absolutely clear to all of you. In the year 2021, we are sitting in September, 16 September, I got a license from the TRAI to operate my telecom services in Lakshmi Nagar area of Delhi. I am providing telecom services in Lakshmi Nagar area of Delhi. My telecom fees is 2 crore rupees. I requested TRAI, please, I do not have 2 crore rupees right now. Please give me time for 1 year. I will pay TRAI fees, license fees by 16th September 2022. Now my question is, whether the deduction will be started, whether the amortization of deduction will be started in the year 21 or in the year 22? Absolutely, in the year 22. Harshit, yes. Chavi, yes. Yash, yes. Dikshit, yes. Dikshit, ab kaise aa gaya tumko? Daniel, yes. Sanjana, yes. Asif, yes. Yes, when amount is paid, yes. Perfect. So, guys, tell me, another question. It will be absolutely clear. You will never forget it in your lifetime. Another question. I got a license for 10 years. TRAI gave me license for 10 years. From 21 to 31. You have to tell me whether I will amortize the license for how many years. I got the license for 10 years. For how many years I will amortize that license? In my question, Abhishek says 10, Harshit says 10, for the remaining period 9. Keshav, perfect answer Keshav. Mihir says 10. Mihir, what happened? My earlier question is getting continued. I have not paid the money in this year. I have not paid the money in this year. Utkarsh, very good Utkarsh. Utkarsh, your answer is 9. The correct answer is 9.
Yes, sir.
Correct answer is 9. The moment when you start your payment, the moment when you do your payment, then you are eligible for amortization of telecom license fees. You are not eligible for 10 years. You are eligible when you start your payment. When did you start your payment? In my case, I started payment in 22. I got the license till 31. So 22 to 31, 9 years. You will get amortization only for 9 years. So guys, these sections, you don't have to learn them word by word, okay? Don't learn them word by word. I'm not asking you to learn them word by word. You just have to understand the basic gist, the basic concepts of these particular sections. That's it. Then payment made to associations, institutions for carrying out rural development. So any payment is made to rural development, that is allowed as an expenditure. No rocket science in it. Agriculture extension project, 100% of expenditure is allowed. Skill development project, 100% of the expenditure is allowed. Tell me name of one institute which has recently launched its skill development program along with the Maharashtra government. Which is that institute? Write it in the chat box. Which institute has launched its skill development program along with state of Maharashtra? Absolutely guys, our very own, our beloved mother institute, ICMAI. Brilliant answer. Very good. You are all aware about this development. Okay, now one of the most important sections.
आपने वीडियो डाला था, कैसे अवेयर नहीं होंगे?
Most sorry.
आपने बताया था, कैसे पता?
हाँ. Amortization of preliminary expenses, one of the most important section guys. So before commencement of business, just remember a few words. Before commencement of business, if you incur any expenditure in the nature of preparation of project report, preparation of feasibility report, conducting market survey or other surveys, preparing MOA, AOA, any drafting of agreement charges, any services related to business or any registration fees paid for Companies Act, then you will be allowed to claim this expenditure, not together but up to 5 years. So 1/5 of the total eligible preliminary expenditure will be allowed as a deduction in the next 5 years. Now my question to you is, and you have to keep your fingers on the keyboard, my question to you is, it will be subjected to how much percentage of the project cost? It will be subject to how much percentage of the project cost? Subject to how much percentage of the project cost? Yes, perfect. 5% of the project cost. It should not be more than 5% of the cost of project. It should be less than 5% of the cost of project, either the actual preliminary expense or 5% of the project cost, whichever is lower. Now, my next question.
Sir, 5%
of a company.
Sir,
Yes,
5% of 5% of cost of project and capital employed. जो भी higher होता है वो लेता है ना सर.
Soumya, hold my next question. I'm asking my next question. Hold on. My next question. In case of companies, what is one additional thing that you see along with cost of project? What is the one additional thing that you see in case of companies? Because in case of non-companies, you see only project costs. In case of non-companies, only project costs. In case of companies, what is one more thing which you see? Perfect, capital employed. So remember this thing. Non-company, only cost of project. Company, cost of project or COP, whichever is 5% of cost of project or capital employed, whichever is higher. Perfect guys, you are absolutely on the track and you are absolutely doing fine. Amalgamation expenses, 1/5 of the expenses will be allowed.
Sir,
expenses,
I have one
1/5. Yes, tell me.
Sir, in case of companies or in case of Indian company only?
On case of Indian company only, absolutely right. In case of Indian company only, yes, you are right. VRS, 1/5 will be reduced as a deduction. Amortization of expenditure on prospecting, these are certain non-important sections guys, these are not very important. Prospecting, development of minerals, during the 4 preceding year, you can claim the deduction for 4 preceding year, and please remember this is 10 equal installments. These sections are 5 equal installments, 35 DD and DA. 35E is 10 equal installments. Then comes the generic deductions, the general deductions, which are insurance premium, bonus and commission, etc. So now my question to you. Please listen to the question carefully. Bonus is allowed on paid basis or accrued basis? Bonus is allowed on paid basis or accrued basis? Everyone is saying paid, 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 paid. Perfect. Paid, 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 paid. Okay, perfect. Paid. Paid, paid. Perfect, perfect. Perfect, perfect. Now listen to my next question. Listen to my next question. Very, very carefully relating to bonus, okay? Listen to my next question. My employee, Mr. Dikshit Chopra, has ESOPs worth 1 crore rupees in his account. Those ESOPs has been given to Dikshit. Those ESOPs reap a dividend of 1 lakh rupees to Dikshit. I gave 1 lakh rupees to Dikshit, and in my books of accounts I wrote that this is bonus or commission. Allowed or disallowed? This is bonus and commission. I gave to this Dikshit as bonus or commission. Not only written, but I gave to Dikshit as bonus or commission. Okay, everyone is saying disallowed. Guys, there is a specific disallowance of this particular thing in the section. Please read the brackets carefully. There is a specific disallowance for this particular thing in the section itself. Section says other than in lieu of profit or dividend. So if you are giving anything in lieu of profit or dividend, not allowed as a deduction. Perfect. Perfect answer, guys. Perfect answer. You have given the right answer. Perfect. All right. Interest on borrowed capital. Prior to commencement of business, interest to be added to actual cost. After commencement of business, interest is allowed as a reduction under 36(1)(3). That is the general principle in case of interest. Now my question to you. Very, very important question. Very, very important question. Okay. Prior to commencement of business, but so prior to commencement of business, capital expenditure. After commencement of business, it is revenue expenditure. Now suppose there is a situation where my assets is put to use. My assets is put to use after commencement of business. Commencement of business, my asset is put to use. So the expenditure between commencement of business till my assets is put to use is capital or revenue. You have to write capital or revenue. From commencement of business till revenue. You have to type it in the chat box. Perfect, perfect. This is a very, very important point, guys. That after.
Sir, can you please repeat? Not understood.
Okay, question is that after the business commences, till the time the asset is put to use, in case of the borrowing is done for specific asset, till the time the asset is put to use, till that time the interest will be capital or revenue. The interest will be revenue.
Yes.
Okay, so whatever is written over here is partially incorrect. This is partially incorrect because there is one other angle to this particular concept, which is after commencement of business, if the asset is put to use till the date asset is put to use, you will be allowing that expenditure on a capital basis. All right. So guys, I'm leaving certain sections. These sections are very simple sections. So I'm leaving certain sections. Okay. Very important. Very, very important. Bad debts. Now my question to you is, first I will hide the section. Okay. My question to you is, please understand the question well. Bad debts will be allowed as soon as the assessee puts them to its books of accounts. Yes or no? Bad debts will be allowed as soon as the assessee makes an entry in the books of accounts. Yes or no? Very, very important point, and you are absolutely right. All of you are absolutely right. Soon as you put accounting entry in the books of accounts, the bad debts are eligible. You need not prove that bad debts are bad debts. You need not prove to Government of India. No, no, no. If you have put the entry in the books of accounts, if the businessman is saying that yes, these are bad debts, it will be allowed as bad debt. Yes.
सर एक डाउट है सर,
yes.
जब रिकवर हो जाते
तो टैक्सेबल होगा, तो इनकम की तरह टैक्सेबल होगा. अभी रिकवरी पे भी आएंगे.
अच्छा ठीक है.
So did you understand this point, that once you put your accounting entry in the books of accounts, it becomes taxable, it becomes a deduction. You need not prove whether to the assessing officer whether the bad debt have become bad debt or not. Now when the recovery happens of the bad debts, it should be treated as income. It should be treated as income. To the extent of what? Please listen to the question. No, don't answer before listening to the question. Don't answer before listening to the question. Don't answer before listening to the question. Question is, when the bad debt is recovered, it is to be allowed, it is to be taxed. It is to be taxed to the extent of what? To the extent of what should it be taxed? Wow, Raj, beautiful answer. Claimed. Beautiful answer, Chavi.
Sir, bad debt
No, amount
claim
received
minus
is
bad
wrong.
debt.
Diksha, amount received is wrong. Recovery amount is wrong. Recovery amount is wrong. To the extent of allowed as deduction. Perfect. Alakmar, perfect. Received, perfect. Received is wrong. Received is wrong. Received is wrong. Extent deduction or perfect. The extent of allowed as expenditure. Bad debts allowed. Perfect. So guys, please understand this concept. This is a very simple concept. You will always offer to tax an income only when it has been allowed as a deduction in the earlier years. So if you have claimed bad debt as a deduction in the earlier year and it was very much allowed to you, only then will you claim it as income. Now if assessing officer said no, I'm not going to allow it as a deduction, I will disallow it, this is not your bad debt, you are wrong. If income tax officers disallows your expenditure of bad debt and you also accept that expenditure disallowance, you do not take it as a disallowance, then any recovery should not be allowed as a income. You will not offer it to tax. Yes, Dikshit, tell me.
सर बैड डेट रिकवर होने से पहले अगर बिजनेस बंद हो जाता है तो
भी बैड डेट को आपको ऑफर टू टैक्स आप कर सकते हो, इवन अगर बिजनेस बंद भी हो जाता है तो भी, डजंट मैटर वेदर बिजनेस इज इन कंटिन्यूएशन और नॉट. So this is a very important point which you should understand. All right, guys. Provision for bad debt is a simple section. I am leaving these simple sections. These are very simple sections, straightforward sections. Now I'm coming on to disallowance. Disallowance is very important. Disallowance, guys. Expenditure disallowance. Now.
सर जो इसके वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है ना.
मिहिर, important question sections की तुम्हें already detail दी जा चुकी है, right?
मेरे को भी भेजना ना.
Yes.
मेरे को भेजना ना.
One very important question, and you should remember this, guys. Disallowance for TDS non-deduction for foreigners is 40AI1 or 40AI2? 40AI1 or 40AI2? In the videos, I have told you a method of remembering it. Garima, you are wrong. Keshav, you are wrong. Chavi, perfect. Srishti, very good. Asif, very good. Utkarsh, very good. Sanjana, wrong. Tejashri, wrong. So guys, there is a very old saying in India, Atithi Devo Bhava. What do you mean by Atithi Devo Bhava? Whosoever is foreigner, he should be given respect first. So out of respect, we will disallow the expenditure of foreigner first, and we will disallow him the expenditure of a foreigner under section 40A 40I, and then we will disallow the expenditure of our in-house people, of our people who are there in India, 40A. So always remember this point, 40A. Now my question to you is that if he is a resident and if TDS is not deducted in case of a resident, then how much is disallowed? In case of resident, how much is disallowed? 30%. Perfect. 30%. In case of foreigner, 100%. In case of resident, 30%. Perfect. Next question. You have to write yes or no. If I deduct TDS in the subsequent year and deposit it to government, whether that earlier year's expense will be claimable or not. If I deduct in the subsequent year and deposit to government, whether the previous year's disallowance will be claimable or not. Perfect. Next question. If the disallowance in the previous year was in case of resident, then the allowance in the current year, when I deposit the tax, will be to the extent of what percentage? If the disallowance in the previous year was with respect to resident, then the allowance in the current year will be with respect to what percentage? Yes, whatever is disallowed is allowed. So if 30% is disallowed in the last year, 30% will be allowed in the current year. 30% will only be allowed in the current year. Examiner can trick you with this question, guys. Examiner can trick you. Examiner can give you 1 lakh rupees was disallowed in case of a resident in the earlier year because TDS was not deducted. Please tell us this year TDS has been deducted and has been deposited to Government of India. Please tell much how much is the allowance. Allowance will not be 1 lakh rupees. Allowance will be to the extent of disallowance. Okay. So please remember this point. These are small points which are very, very important. Okay. Let's move on. Equalization levy is not deductible.
So equalization levy होता क्या है?
Equalization levy, okay. Equalization levy is a special tax. It is apart from Indian Income Tax Act. It has been introduced for non-residents, the non-residents who are into business of advertising. If non-residents are into business of advertising, then equalization levy is a parallel tax regime which has been introduced under Income Tax Act, beyond Income Tax Act. It is not a part of Income Tax Act. It has been introduced by Finance Act and it is a parallel Income Tax Act. So if you are an advertising agency who is a non-resident, you have to pay income tax as well as equalization levy. Now, why this burden on advertising agencies? Reason is that advertising agencies who are working from outside India, they are not required to pay income tax. Therefore, to tax them, we have introduced another tax which is known as equalization levy. All right. Oh, very, very important, guys. Payment made to relatives. If you make any payment to relatives, I'll give you a question. Please write in the answer chat box. If payment is made to relative, that is excess to the amount which is which was required to be paid to the relative, then the allowance should be limited to option number A, FMV, option number B, to whatever assessing officer thinks correct. A or B? A or B? FMV to the extent of FMV, or B to the extent of whatever the income tax officer thinks correct. Guys, please note this point. The answer was both A and B. Both A and B. Please understand this fact, okay? Please understand this fact. The FMV which is to be computed, because FMV is a subjective matter. FMV कहीं दिया हुआ थोड़ी होता है. So दीक्षित ने जो ऑरेंज कलर की टी शर्ट पहनी हुई है, बताओ इसकी फेयर मार्केट वैल्यू क्या है? No one will be able to guess. FMV is a very, very difficult concept. Depreciate हो गई, but कुछ तो FMV बची होगी. This t-shirt is absolutely not, we will not be able to understand the FMV of it. So you have to consult the income tax officer also. So any payment made by assessee to related person shall be disallowed to the extent it is in excess of or unreasonable as per the assessing officer. So the first answer should be, it should be as per the assessing officer. And how will assessing officer assesses? Yes, on the basis of FMV, but don't forget that assessing officer will play an important role in assessing whether it is excess or not. Now this is the list of the relative parties. Okay. Now one question to you is, what do you mean by substantial interest? How much percentage of share should be there to claim it as substantial interest? What is the percentage? Okay, Yash says 20, Karanpreet says, Abhishek 20, Shastra 20, Asif 20, Tejashri 20. Brilliant guys, very good, very nice. All right. Perfect. Let me move on. Excess of 10,000 rupees. This is absolutely easy. I'm not discussing it right now. Provision for gratuity, contribution, expenditure. Very, very important section. Section 43B. Certain expenditure which are only allowed on cash basis. Only when you pay these expenditure in cash, only then it will be allowed. Very, very important section, guys. There's a high probability that a question can come from this particular section. Before the due date of furnishing the return of income, these should be paid on cash, in cash basis. Bonus, tax duty, interest on loan or borrowing from any of the organization, leave encashment, employer's contribution to provident fund, all the employee welfare funds, and the payments which are made to Indian Railways, etc. These are to be claimed only on cash basis. When you pay cash, then only you will be eligible to claim depreciation. Will be able to claim deduction on these expenditure. Very, very important section. Okay. 43A. Hands on your keyboard. Listen to the question carefully. There are two sections. 43A, 43AA. 43A is related to revenue expenditure foreign exchange. Yes or no? 43A is related to revenue expenditure forex gain or loss. Yes or no? Dikshit, don't see in book. Close Vijay Sardar sir books. Yes or no? Yes. No, 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 no. Absolutely, guys. Please remember 43A capital expenditure, 43AA revenue expenditure. 43A capital expenditure, 43AA revenue expenditure. Question number two, and section finishes. Section finishes. 2 questions, section is over. Question number 2, listen to it carefully, okay? I bought a machinery from New Delhi Sales Corporation, which is located in Paharganj. I took a borrowings for purchasing this particular machinery from Mr. Joseph, resident of American Bank, which is located in USA. I borrowed the capital from USA. I borrowed the capital. I took loan for purchasing this machinery from USA. So the loan was given to me in US dollars. You have to tell me whether section 43A is applicable to me or not. Yes or no? Karanpreet says yes. Dikshit says no. Sanjana says no. Shubham says no. Keshav says yes. Nalayak Keshav. बताता हूं मैं तुम्हें अभी. Asif yes. Shrishti yes. Yash no. Mihir yes. Diksha yes. Kanika no. Soumya Saha, what is your answer? I am waiting for your answer, Soumya. You are not giving me answer. You are ignoring me today completely. No. Supriya says no. Diksha says no. Shubham perfect. Shubham perfect. Okay. Now this is a very, very important concept, guys. If you purchase your machinery from India, even if your loan is from outside, you are not eligible for 43A deduction. You are not eligible. You have to take machinery from outside India. You cannot take machinery from in India. Your machinery should be from outside India, and only then this deduction will be eligible. This deduction will not be eligible if you are taking machinery from inside India. That is a very, very important point from this particular section. When an assessee acquired any asset from country outside India or from borrowings outside India, these are the 2 conditions. So very, very important 2 points which I have discussed. All right. Recovery, we have already discussed recovery. Discontinuance, not required. Maintenance of books of accounts, pretty simple, guys. The limits which are pretty simple. 1,50,000 in all preceding years. Please note this point of all. Gross receipts should be above 1,50,000 for all preceding years. Books to be maintained as per Rule 6F. In case gross receipts exceed 15,000 in any one of the 3 years, then books are to be prescribed not in any particular format, but in any format in which it is acceptable to the AO. Then person carrying on non-specified profession or business, the limit is profit from such profession and business should be 1,20,000, and in case of HUF it should be 2,50,000. Turnover and gross receipts are very, very easy. I am not discussing it in this particular session. All right. Presumptive taxation, you just have to remember the limits and the percentage, then we will be moving upon in our test. We are already little late. Okay, less than 2 crore rupees should be the turnover. 8% of turnover or receipt should be the profit which should be presumed by you under section 44 AD. Then if you are, when the turnover is received by account pay check or bank check, when entire turnover is received by account pay check, then the turnover or receipt, 6% of the turnover or receipt is the eligible turnover of or receipt. All right, computation of profession. Okay, it is not written over here, but tell me one thing. Tell me one thing. What is the allowable gross receipts turnover which can be taken in cash? How much percentage of gross receipts can be taken?
5%, sir. 5%.
Yes.
5%.
5%. Perfect. Perfect. 5%. Yes, absolutely right. 5% is the allowable cash receipts. Perfect. Okay. 44 ADA, 50% of the gross receipts in case of profession. In case of business, 8% or 6% respectively. Business of plying, leasing, hiring, goods carriage, 1,000, heavy goods, 1,000 per ton, other 7,500 if you do not have more than 10 goods carriage. Maximum limit is 10. Okay, these are miscellaneous sections. Form assessment is easy. All right, guys. So now I have discussed all the important sections of PGBB chapter. Let's start the test now. Your register should be in front of you.